Greetings and welcome, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to the Words About Games podcast, the weekly podcast with plenty of words about games. I'm not Amy Kate Alexander, but I am Vitz Patel, and hopefully that's good enough for you. If it isn't, I'm joined today, as always, by the wonderful Daffy Moody, the 4-star champion. Now they've been crowned as the reigning legally distinct 90s game show champion. Moody, how are you, my friend?
I'm not bad, sir. Not bad at all. The boys are back in town, taking charge again. It's all good. Like, Amy's obviously not here to take control, so I can say whatever I want, Amy.
When has that ever stopped you, my friend?
That is true. That is true. She's like, you would think I'm making it sound like she muzzles me, but she really doesn't. But I'm fully unmuzzled now.
There you go.
But no, yeah. How are you? I hope you're well.
Yeah, we're doing good. Had some decent news break for me this week, so that's good. And then, yeah, been playing a few games. Really interested in looking into the Plucky Squire. So, like, we're checking out a lot of the reviews and what the kind of general reception to that was, and it seems to be relatively glowing. There's a few instances where I was thinking, okay, that gives me a little bit of a pause. I wasn't expected to be £25 here in the UK and $25 elsewhere. It is available on PlayStation Plus,
extra.
I believe, in extra. Yeah. So
So that is technically cheaper. So it probably would be. But I'm thinking of doing it that way instead of buying it.
Yeah. I wonder if you can buy just a month, though. Will it like lump you into a year subscription? Oh, you can do.
No,
okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure you can just buy a month.
Right. Okay.
If they can't, then what the fuck? Why has no one been calling uproar in this even more? if they've hid that under the byline of the fine text, you can't get this monthly. Then I'm just like, wait, why is no one been screaming from the heavens for this at them for this? But they get away with a lot of shit anyway. PlayStation, I love them as a company just because like they gave me my start in the industry, but at the same time, they're fucking bastards as a corporation and everything.
As most corporations are.
Yes, no doubt about that. No doubt. Because I'm playing it right now. I haven't watched your review of Astrobot. I know you enjoyed it. I believe you enjoyed it, which is fantastic. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm on the second stage basically now. I've got like the first area beaten, and I'm now into the second area, which is just the second area. It's just a joy. It is absolutely a joy to play.
It's what everybody needs right now.
I think so, yeah. Like I put that out on Bluesky. I was saying it's just like the game I kind of need right now because like I was playing Star Wars Outlaws. That for me, even though I'll say this, I haven't completed it. I can say I didn't even get halfway through the game. It's a soulless game. It's soulless, and that was just heartbreaking to see that. At least like one thing I can state, like with the what's the company's name? Respawn's team. The Jedi Survive games, they had heart. Yeah. There were parts in that game where I'm just like, oh yeah, I can get it. I see it there. You feel it. You feel Star Wars. It even feels Star Wars, Vitz, which is just heartbreaking. But also when I think about it, am I actually surprised because it's a Ubisoft game?
There is that. I mean, we see Ubisoft kind of rescreen Far Cry games and brand them as the new Avatar game and what have you, and then we get instances like this, and we thought they were doing something interesting at the very least, and then they come across with titles with like a really hard stealth section at the opening of the game, which I've had to go back and nerf and make a lot easier for people. And then there's various amounts of jank, but then sadly, what games don't have jank at the moment? Tell you what, Astrobot, that's a game that doesn't have jank.
I've had no jank on that. So,
I've encountered one slight bug during my playthrough of that. So as you know, like once you've gone through a level, you can spend 200 of your precious coins to get the assistance of a bird. And one time the bird animation wigged out, so its wings were flapped in the upward position, so just like it was holding its ears, and they just followed me around like that. But aside from that, that game's been flawless. But it's a shame that Outlaws didn't work for you, but I'm so glad that Astrobot is resonating with you. And you got to experience the first of the VIP levels, as I'm calling them. So at the end of the first galaxy, like you assumed the role of ape escape and trying to catch all those those damn apes. So that was a fun old time, and there's more of those things to explore as you go on through the game. That's
fantastic.
But yeah, so that there are challenge levels, and they are challenging, I will say that. And the do you think this will be a title where you'll chase the platinum trophy for?
Depends how I feel.
Okay.
I think if by the time I'm near the end, I'll probably be able to answer that. If I'm like thinking I'm actually not that far, then I'll probably will. But if I'm just like, oh, this is a grind, like it's kind of like the Expanse Platinum. Like I'm literally one trophy away from the Expanse Platinum, but the only way to get it, I have to play through the entire story all over again and do these specific things to do it. And I'm just like, as much as I really enjoyed that game and gave it praise last year and like put it in like the conversation of best games last year, I was just like, just that is just like, no, I'm not doing that.
I'm with you there. Yeah. So like I'm one trophy away from the platinum in Gran Turismo 7. And I was speaking about this on the podcast last week, saying, no, it's not going to happen because you're making me do 50 online races, a mode I don't enjoy because everybody just crashes you off the road anyway, kind of thing. And then I don't have PS Plus at the moment, so I'm not paying for the privilege in order to get this platinum trophy. And the amount that I've rallied against this game on this very podcast, I'm not going to reward them with my time or my money or my effort, that kind of thing. But for Astrobot, the challenge levels are a requirement in order to get the platinum. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, you can have a wonderful and fruitful experience just playing the game and not worrying about the trophies. Trophy hunting, in my humble opinion, is at times very, very stupid. and I wish I stopped with Astrobot, but because I'm luck-headed like that, I pressed on and did it. But it took something from me, put it that way.
That's fair.
But yeah, very excited for Echoes of Wisdom to land, hopefully next week. I know that there are some copies out in the wild, whether some retailers broke street date and things like that. So be mindful of spoilers if you're on these interwebs, dear listener.
Jesus, man. What the hell?
But yeah. Speaking of you, dear listener, you can get the audio version of this show on a variety of podcast services or catch a video version on youtube.com/WordsAboutGamesUK. There are timestamps in the description wherever you choose to get this podcast. And if you want to keep up with our live shenanigans, what we do, whether it be we're playing games or doing our charity streams this time of the year, for a special effect, you can catch them on twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. So be sure to give us a follow on Twitch and subscribe to the channels on YouTube and podcast services wherever you choose to get them. Let's get this show on the road. So we keep saying it's the best of times, it's the worst of times, but mostly it's the worst of times when it comes to the video game industries, because the layoffs, they won't stop coming, Moody. What the heck is going on?
The industry is just garbage fire. It's a garbage truck on fire, basically, right now, taking the pun from kind of funny and everything, but it's literally true. Now we're up to about over 12,000 layoffs just this far alone. Microsoft have done 2,550.
Over 2,500, yeah.
Yeah, just to the alone, they're basically just like, we're going to have the highest number of layoffs.
Yeah.
Even though I think Embracer are fighting them with it as well. It's like a trophy they want to both have. Why would one of you both want to have this? And everything. It is just like crap. And like this, I don't know if this is like fully updated yet. I know for a fact it hasn't updated the one that I'm going to reveal. So obviously, like Midwinter Entertainment, they've laid off 35 people. Evening Star, 6 people. Microsoft Gaming, another 650 people.
Yeah,
I've seen people try and defend us and go, it's not in their gaming part or anything like that. At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck.
Yes.
These are people's lives. They're a $3 trillion company. If you can't properly integrate them, you're bad at your job. Really are. And it's really... God, sorry.
No. You're 100% right in what you're saying. My other question would be, so the Financial Conduct Authority and the FTC over in the States, they did this big investigation and essentially took Microsoft to court to say, okay, when you're going to do this acquisition and we're going to make sure there's not a monopoly on the market or whatnot, I'm pretty sure there was a line in there, and plenty of lines in there, about making sure that there weren't going to be any layoffs. And Microsoft said, no, not one layoff, not a single one. And now they turn around and do this. So are they in breach of what they've said to them? Or is it just another case of, well, when you're rich and powerful, the rules don't mean squat to you and you can do whatever the heck you want?
Everyone's asking that. I'm seeing everyone's like asking. They said they weren't going to do any layoffs, and yet they've done over 2,500 layoffs just in 2024 alone. So what's the deal on that? So it's either like they don't give a fuck because they're Microsoft are a $3 trillion powerhouse, or which would be weird if it was in the agreement that there was a date. That they could, well, as soon as they crossed this date, they could do whatever the hell they wanted. And that's the only thing I can think of that where we aren't hearing a lot of pushback. Because we haven't heard anything that the FCA have come to attack and saying, yo, what the fuck are you doing? You said you weren't going to do this. Because we haven't heard anything from them yet, which is really weird. So that kind of makes me think it's number 2.
Yeah, there was like a timeline they were working towards.
Yeah. But basically, which is just even makes it. I get it to a timeline to a certain point. I hate it, but to have such a short timeline is just baffling.
Yeah, because I don't think we were past like 30 days when the original set of layoffs went down, and never mind this extra 600 odd. But it is ridiculous that these companies only see people as numbers on a spreadsheet and not, you know, the lives and livelihoods of these people who many have like relocated to work there and changed their whole lifestyle around being in a certain job, and they have obviously like families and mortgages to pay and bills to pay and all the rest of it. And now they'll come out with some word salad saying, oh, you know, we're going to try and support them to the best of our abilities, giving them severance and whatnot. And many of those instances, it's only there because that's what's written in law in countries like the UK and Japan and things like that. Over in the States, it is kind of at the employer's behest just to say, okay, we'll give you like this token severance and then see, because you haven't got any recourse or recourse whatsoever kind of thing. So it is just, it's sad news all around, but there doesn't seem to be an end of it. And that's the scary thing in terms of, because like next year, the number still has to go up for these people. So what are they going to do? Especially in the world, especially in the world like GTA 6 is going to, if it comes out next year rather, is going to like absorb all the oxygen in the room, and no one's ever going to think about any other games which are coming out. So therefore sales might go down in these other places, and then they're going to have to lay more people off. And it never seems to be leadership which is bearing the brunt of this. That is probably the most disappointing thing. Phil will come out, and Uncle Phil, to many people, will come out and say, well, it's a shame, but it keeps on happening. At some point, there needs to be a pattern. Like, someone needs to recognize the pattern that's going down.
Oh, I think everyone has recognized the pattern. It's just there's nothing anyone can do about it. This is the thing about it. So, thing for me is that no one knows, but it is out there. I have been made redundant. Both me and my entire team who I work with, which is 22 staff, and my company, who people may or may not know who it is Merge Games, are going to be closed. We're going to be closed soon. My job, I am going to be out of a job in literally about 10 days, which is a kick in the nuts. There's no doubt about it. We've kind of known it was coming for a while, but because of other things that are behind the scene, which I can't get into right now, which I will get into more in the future and everything when I can and whatnot. But it was so, how we were told was we just got an email, person coming in, meeting at 12. By 12:30, we were told we're under consultancy period for the next month, where a decision will be made if we were going to get closed or laid off. A week after my birthday, I was told I was getting made redundant.
Yeah, that's not even kicking the teeth. That's something. That's a few kicks in the teeth.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have hit the grace period because of how long it will be until I finish. Yeah, I have hit the grace period of where I've been here at Merge Games for 2 years. So thankfully I am going to get some redundancy, but anyone under 2 years, there is a couple, it ain't going to get anything. They're going to get their final month's wage and everything like that. Which absolutely sucks. Like, I'm not going to get much, I won't lie that.
Of course.
Thankfully I'm in a union, and the union and other people who are part of the union, we've already been talking, and we're already talking to Maximum Entertainment about extras and all like that. I'll reveal the outcome of that when I can. That and everything.
That's it, dear listeners. So when Moody's kneecaps are not liable to be removed by anybody, then he'll be able to talk about it more. And obviously it's a sensitive subject, which I'm sure you can appreciate as well. It just seems that it's all a bit heartless and it's all a bit cold and corporation-y, which at the end of the day is what this is. And it's not for the quality of the work that people put down. And like even when you look at the team behind Concord, and obviously the game got taken offline 2 weeks after it launched, for the most part people were enjoying the actual product itself. It just wasn't marketed correctly by Sony and positioned in the right way, and X, Y, and Z. So it wasn't the fault of the teams who are making these games, who are publishing these games, who are marketing these games, that kind of thing, in situ at least, to say, oh, you did a bad job, therefore you're fired. It's no, the numbers need to go up, and we can't figure out any other way of reducing costs rather than just laying everybody off and effectively scuttling the company. And there doesn't seem to, I'm all different kinds of thankful that unions are out there trying to fight the good fight in terms of making sure people are represented, and there is a voice at the table saying, okay, it's completely shady what you're doing right now, but let's come to a compromise as to how we can maximize the benefit for our members at any given time, kind of thing. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be an overarching level of control to say, right, you can't do this anymore, this is taking the piss. And it's like you said, there isn't one, and it's something that we just have to deal with.
There's only two.
Go for it.
Go on, Vitz, sorry. There's only two things that will stop this from happening, but one of them is literally so extreme on the part of that it'll basically make everyone lose their job, and that is the video game has a crash again.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll happen because it's the biggest industry out there.
There's too much money in it.
Yeah. Even though, like, on another story we'll talk about, like, there's zero innovation really going on.
Mm-hmm.
The only other one that both me and like our team have talked about is that the only way only way they pay attention, and really the only way that proper, because it isn't mainstream news that are talking about this either. This is the thing about it. Like, no mainstream news sites out there that not the IGNs. I know they get so many looks and everything like that, and they did talk about it, but they are mainstream. When I mean it,
it's not BBC News,
like,
it's not CNN, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's basically what we need to get any freaking piece of the pie here. And the only way for that to happen is unilaterally. Every video game developer around the world strikes.
Yes.
On every company,
mm-hmm.
all of them, all at once, or like the majority of like AAA development goes on strike. So it's like Call of Duty was hurt, I think, was it last year or the year before, when there was strikes going on for Activision.
Mm-hmm.
That did hurt that company, and it hurt the video game because you could see it. Like, the people were like, the players were whining and saying, why aren't we getting updates and everything like that and whatnot, because no one's there to develop the game, you freaking idiot. That's basically the only way they can do anything. But sadly, the only way they're going to do, because so many countries and companies in different countries and different companies all union bust like crazy. Yeah. They don't like it. Like, America struggles in itself just to grind unionize. Like, we've got a freaking government, we've got part of a government here, an old government who literally hates unions, who didn't negotiate whatsoever. And even though now we've got a government in who are still assholes, at least they're talking to unions. I give them something for that, for it. But at the same time, they won't help, because I don't think they even know what the hell's going on in the video game industry and whatnot.
100%. To your point, like, everyone at Annapurna Interactive just resigned with the changes. Yeah. And to your point, in terms of it takes a whole industry and a whole company just to say, no, this isn't on. They all just down tools and left. And for sure, they need to be in, obviously, like, a financially comfortable position in order to do this. And it would have been a educated move rather than just doing it on a whim to say, okay, if we all just down tools and we all need to do it, if there's like one scab left, then the whole thing falls apart. But yeah, they need to obviously make sure that the next month's rent's covered and X, Y, and Z before they pull something like this off. But yeah, it does need drastic change, and it needs a whole lot of eyeballs on it. And like to speak to the mainstream media, they barely covered crunch culture when that was the thing, and it was only when Epic was doing it, and presumably still does it when it comes to Fortnite, because there always needs to be a constant grind of content, because we'd always need to be bringing new stuff to the game, and all that stuff will induce an element in culture of crunch going forwards. But yeah, ever since that story went away, then there wasn't any follow-up to say, okay, was this still happening? Is it over? What other studios and publishers does this happen with? And yeah, it's not the best.
It's crap out there. Like, trying to find something is just soul breaking, because a lot of it is just like, I have only a specific set of skills. Like, if I wanted to go into like software, I don't have the skills for doing that, even though that's an industry that's more viable if I wanted to be to move over to that QA tester. But I would have to do a whole new education system on that. Which is something I might have to do. I don't know. It really depends if I'm able to find something. But like, I've got multiple emails back saying, we're not hiring. Yeah. Like, I applied for one at Playground the day they announced the 650. The next day I got told no. Yeah. And I said, yeah, of course you're not, because you just fucking sacked 650 people, you bloody bellends. I know you're a separate entity, Playground, and everything like that, but I'm just like, yeah, you're probably just being told, don't hire anybody right now.
Yeah.
Even though the position is still up on there and everything, and like, I can appreciate like what some of it might be. It's like, you just don't have the skills that we were looking for, which I do believe that. Yeah. I do get that, but at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, you're under Microsoft's finger. You totally. I truly believe this, even though I have no evidence that they were told no more hiring right now. Yeah. We've just sacked 650. Like, they went on a social media blackout for a week.
They did this time.
Things that which was probably the smartest thing for them to do, because now it's like no one's talking about it anymore now and whatnot. But it's like, it's all, the whole area is just all over the place. Like, Universal Speaking, that's not far from me, which is a QA just QA company. Like, they've just laid off some people as well. Not laid off, they've not renewed contracts on about 60 people, I've been told, which is just like, well, great. Yay, that means they ain't hiring anytime soon. And same goes for Kudos QA, Proper QA, and there's another one, I can't remember its name, but something QA. They're just not hiring right now because they just don't need it, and they don't have the obviously the there's no part that they can't hire anyone, which I can appreciate, because it is like, if they hire them, they're probably gonna have to lay people off, which they're being smart, I guess, which is good. We want to see that.
This is it.
Like, I mean, don't over fatten yourself.
Yeah, it's this whole chase for the need for a sustainability chase, and what we're seeing is that, particularly in these corporations, that they aren't doing that, because it is just a constant chase of infinite growth, which is stupid and impossible. And yeah, people are paying the price, and it doesn't seem to be the leaderships. And in many ways, we're still paying. I say we. People are still paying the price for the bad bets that they made pre-pandemic, and it's kind of. Like, even on the PlayStation side, it isn't like the Jim Ryan era was all about, well, we see the money that Fortnite's making and Epic's making, therefore live service is where it's at, therefore we should transition our whole business model and take away from how Sony made their bread, or PlayStation made their bread and butter on the PlayStation 4 era, where it was all about single player games and having prestige experiences. And now like, Jim Ryan was ousted, or came to the final end of his tether, and now PlayStation find themselves course correcting, because the live service products that they did have in the works, they're not coming to fruition. So we've had Concord, we're hearing terrible things about Marathon at the moment, and fairground games. Like, who knows what's going to be of that when it comes out, and it looks on the surface, it looks like Jade Raymond's going to have another project that doesn't come to the market, which is obviously a terrible shame for them because they've got a track record of that happening now. But yeah, that's where it is.
The worst thing is about it, because of what Jim Ryan did, PlayStation are going to take a couple of years to rewrite themselves and everything to probably get things rolling again. Like, there's no doubt about it. I'm sure, like, not because of what happened to Naughty Dog and everything, they probably have righted themselves.
Yeah.
And they're now back on course to probably doing a single player game. If that's The Last of Us 3 or the new IP that there was rumors about, I don't give a flying hoot. Just get back on course, which is what is your bread and butter. Like, they've had it perfect, quote unquote, with Insomniac. Insomniac have been batting it out of the arena every time, basically, with good to great games all the time. And
I would argue Team Asobi as well, with Astro's Playroom and now Astrobot, and that was a short turnaround time for their titles as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's like, what? I do get where Jim Ryan was coming from. I do, but at the same time, I can understand one or two doing that, but not getting every single team you have doing a live service game when they don't have forget about passion for it, just the knowledge to do it. They just don't have the expertise to be able to do this, so they're going out hiring expertise for these type of games when they just don't need it. And now you've cancelled pretty much half of them. Then now there's going to be layoffs because of it, if they haven't already been. I know they've laid off people, but I'll be surprised if not more ain't coming for it, which is a scary thing. And it's all because of Jim Ryan's leadership and everything. And the two new CEOs now, they're basically trying to clean up his fucking mess, but they only have a grace period.
100%. For me, it's when so the PS5 generation. I know this is scary to say, and it's a big statement that I'm going to make, but the PS5 generation is a bit of a wash when it comes to yes, these are the years where PlayStation, in my mind at least, is trying to course correct and getting everything around. And we have the games which are already in the pipeline when we're talking the Spider-Man 2s, Horizon Forbidden West, and things like that. And now, as the tide is shifting away or back towards single-player games, we're not going to see anything quote unquote of the major IPs that weren't already in development until PlayStation 6 arrives. And I think what Sony are hoping for is that a PlayStation 6 can be what the PlayStation 4 was, where they have titles lined up banger after banger after banger, and that's going to be it. And obviously they'll make these titles also playable on PlayStation 5 as well, because that's where the install base is, similar to how many games at the start of this generation were cross-gen. And then we have the conversation, as we'll get to later on, of and what we've had in the past of what's the point of a PS5 Pro, and then lastly, did anybody really need a PS5 at the moment? There's only a handful of exclusive titles, and only a fraction of those are using all the bells and whistles, or some of the bells and whistles, when we talk about Astrobot and things like that, in terms of using all the features of the DualSense controller. But yeah, I'm sure we'll keep everybody posted on the layouts and the state of the industry, how it just tends to get worse and worse and worse. But we will move on to our next story. Final Fantasy 16, which is a game that I hold dear to my heart. And if you caught our last charity stream, all in a special effect, you will see that this has made it to our final 100 list of games that we're going to be ranking in our favorite video games ranked charity stream. The second one of those, because one stream wasn't enough to contain all the arguing that we did. So we are back at it like a bad habit on the 21st of September at 7 p.m. British Summer Time, where we'll be ranking those.
Worst thing is, the argument's going to get even worse.
Well, yeah, this is it. So we decided to break out the stream into a separate one as well. So be sure to catch that live on twitch.tv/wordsbackgames, or it will be available as a video on demand on youtube.com/wordsbackgamesuk. as I mentioned, Final Fantasy 16, the producer, Naoki Yoshida, asked fans to please not to make offensive or inappropriate PC mods. So Final Fantasy 16 was a PlayStation 5 exclusive. It is now available on PC, I believe through Epic and maybe through Steam as well. But yeah, the producer asked fans to, quote, not mod anything offensive or inappropriate into the PC release of the game. Speaking to PC Gamer, Final Fantasy 16 director Hiroshi Taki was asked about goofy mods he'd like to see in game, but Yoshida stepped in to answer instead, and it's clear he's protective of the team's work. Quote, if we said it'd be great if someone made X, Y, Z, it might come across as a request, so I'll avoid mentioning any specifics here, he said. The only thing I will say is that we definitely don't want anything, say, offensive or inappropriate, so please don't make or install anything like that. Now, Yoshida does have a particularly good relationship with Final Fantasy players, but this surely will come. This and spur modders on, or will this? But this surely will comment. Sorry, let's try that again. But surely this comment will spur modders on even further. So there was a bit of editorializing going on there. I can see where they're coming from in terms of, right, obviously this is our IP, and when mods tend to get notoriety, you'll see them being shared and videos and clips and being shared across YouTube and social media and all the rest of it. And we don't want anything offensive happening here. I think everybody knows the internet is the internet at the end of the day, and it's one of these where, I'm sorry, Clive's getting enormous breasts, even bigger than the breasts he currently has, and probably Jill's going to get them too. But I think it's wiser than just to say, all right, just be sensible with your mods. We don't need Clive and Jill running around with swastikas and all sorts of stuff. But it's interesting that they have this, because Yoshida famously isn't a huge fan of mods, because Final Fantasy 14, which they were also involved with, he was extremely disappointed when people used mods to kind of beat a raid that they had. And essentially they gave us installed a mod which just made it super easy. So he's saying this kind of thing. But yeah, modding on PC, it happens. But yeah, I think people just need to be sensible about it. But obviously the video game's supposed to be fun, and people have fun making mods.
Yeah, I'm on the part of, like, on his side, to the part of, like, I don't give a flying hoot about mods. I don't get them. I don't understand the appeal to them. That is just me. I understand that, but I do understand that people do see appeal to them and really enjoy it and everything, and that's fantastic. I understand mods to the part of, like, fixing a game. So, yes. AKA Mass Effect Andromeda. As much as, like, I defend that game, just like Amy does as well, that there was problems on that game that modders have been able to fix, which is great to see and everything, and along with other games in the line and whatnot. But I don't go along with the thing of, like, seeing idiots doing bigoted
yes, of course,
mods and everything, which sadly will probably happen and everything, and hopefully they're able to get them kicked or somehow bug it in to block it somehow. I don't know. When it comes to, like, QA testing.
Yeah, at that point, it's on platforms like Nexus Mods, where people share these mods as well to obviously moderate the content that's going on there, to say if there is anything bigoted and goes against protected characteristics and things like that, then there needs to be an element of moderation there as well. But yeah, to your point, anything that makes things more accessible or kind of quote unquote finishes a game and makes it easy an easy experience, then I'm all for it. So what this was going to lead to was a conversation about our favorite mods when it comes to games, and obviously you've made your position clear that you're not a kind of a huge fan of them in general, but like some of the things I'd like to speak about is for Elden Ring. So with Elden Ring and with many FromSoft games, is many people find them really obtuse, and with Elden Ring in particular, say even doing multiplayer is obtuse. Of you need a special item, you need to be in certain condition, and then if you're in a multiplayer session, you can only do certain things, and you can't ride your steed torrent, and you can't go into certain boss areas together, and things like the seamless mod alleviate all those issues. So you can get together, I think 3 is the max at the moment, but you can all ride your steed, you can go around, you can do bosses together, and you only have to do the boss fight once. So in the co-op that's currently in the game, the host would go and do the boss once, and then you'd have to join the other person's game and then do the boss again, which is obviously tedious. So for things like that, I think that mods make this a more enjoyable experience. And then from an accessibility point of view, obviously being able to say remap controls, and some titles don't allow that natively kind of thing, and there'll be mods. And I know for Starfield, when I played last year, I installed a bunch of mods to make that game just work, just in terms of UI mods, and because the accessibilities tab in that game was absolutely shocking, and it was only a large font mode, which they only added post, I think, Summer Games Fest, when they did the preview cycle, and people were like, well, okay, there is no accessibility in this game, and they thought, oh, we need to do something, so let's add that. But there were a ton of mods I installed on that. Baldur's Gate 3 is obviously another title which has enjoyed a whole lot of mod support, and for me, the ones that I use tends to be things that allows you to transmog items. So transmogrification is where you take, for those who don't know, one item and make it have the appearance of another, but retain the stats of the original item, that kind of thing. Because I don't think that was supported natively in the latest patch that Larian made for Baldur's Gate 3. They've now included mod support, so there is a mod manager within the game itself as you launch the game, so that will make it a lot easier for people to find mods. And there's plenty of people doing amazing work with the character creation, so adding new hairstyles, adding new skin tones and races and classes and what have you. So there's a whole lot to do, as well as movement. So instead of just being able to click and point with your mouse, you've got WASD movement and untethered camera controls and things like that. And those are the mods which I enjoy using. But I just thought it was a nice vehicle to talk about some mods. So mod with caution, mod with your sensible head on, and just be good people. Don't do anything offensive. I think that's all we need to say.
There's no doubt. So I do know about one that kind of made me did giggle, and I had to bring it up here, and that is of a game that I worked on, which is Bramble the Mountain King. Someone decided to mod it with Disney characters. So they changed Ola to Woody from Toy Story, and there's like the Little Mermaid is the Neckin in the game, and the Neckin is like what I go the set piece. The whole area is actually the set piece for the game. It's like the thing that we heavily marketed, which was just absolutely amazing when we were pumping that out. And then there's ogres in there that have been changed into Shrek from DreamWorks, yes! Which is just like, I watched that. I remember watching that, and I was just like, oh shit, yeah, that's actually really funny. Especially as I know, like I've stated on many occasions, I am a Disney mark for that. So that did make me giggle for that.
Oh hell yeah,
for it. But no, yeah, it's like, I love the creativity for it, even though it's something that's not really for me and everything. I love the creativity for it.
Absolutely, and there's going to be a Thomas the Tank Engine mod within Final Fantasy 16, and it's just bound to happen. And there's going to be a soundbite of the Macho Man Randy Savage coming up, a la like Skyrim as well, when he would just go around and go, "Ooh yeah." So that's all to come. And hopefully, if that's your speed, then I'm sure that will be there for you. Let's check in with some indie games before we take a cheeky little halftime. I've looked at the time that we've been recording, and yes, I am calling halftime now just to make Amy slightly annoyed because she gave us shit last time. We did this as a duo. Indie games of the week. I say indie games of the week because this week I'm going to promote our Steam curator page. So if you haven't checked that out already, on Steam, if you search for the Words About Games podcast, you will find our curator page where essentially every single indie game of the week that we've ever highlighted on this podcast is there in one big list, and you can find information about the game, add it to your own wish list, and it's just a good time all round. If you didn't know, wish listing helps smaller titles help with their discoverability, so they get floated to the top of recommended page for other users as well. And for developers who don't have the marketing budget of other titles, that can really help get their titles in front of the eyeballs of the many and really help elevate the profile of their game. And wish lists are one of the metrics that developers often and publishers often track as the game is going through the works, just to gauge interest, and it really helps their forecasting as well. And I'm sure Moody can speak to it in terms of just makes people feel good when you see the wishlist numbers going up as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Especially like it really gives the marketing a good boost as well, because it's like saying, oh, we're going in the right direction here when it comes to the marketing effort. And now then obviously the collaboration of like, let's continue to make the game as good as we can and everything. And yeah, that's always a great thing to see that and whatnot. But it also dictates, like, if the numbers aren't that high, it also will dictate of just like how much marketing will get put into it. So like, if you want to see more of this game, of a certain game that you're really excited for, spread the word, spread it out, get people to wishlist it, because that's the only way people are really going to get the marketing out there properly, depending on the size of the team. If you're like in like Sony and Microsoft, they're going to throw millions of dollars into the marketing for their games, but some studios do, small studios, indie studios, AA, even have to be patient and have to be very wary of how they market certain things. So it's like getting that right timing.
Yeah. So if you see a game on Steam or indeed any other platform, because I believe they also support wishlisting now, go ahead and wishlist the titles that you're interested in and make people's days better. So let's do that. Dear listener, if you are sick of my voice, I've got bad news for you, because at halftime you're going to hear more of me, but this time talking about our special effect charity streams, and we'll catch you after the break.
Peace out.
What's good, everybody? I hope you're having the best day. The Words About Games podcast is fundraising for the fabulous team over at Special Effect. If you didn't know, Special Effect is a charity that transforms the lives of physically disabled people all over the world through innovative use of technology. The heart of their work is the mission to maximize fun by helping people control video games to the best of their abilities. They're bringing families and friends together, having a profoundly positive impact in quality of life, confidence, and rehabilitation. Amy, Moody, and I have been working on a number of streams to bring you a whole host of shows, games, shenanigans, and more. Everything from ranking Resident Evil, becoming the noble team in Halo Reach, and finding our competitive streak in legally distinct and 90s game shows. We've got several more charity streams in the works, and with your help, we can get there. Special Effect is a charity near and dear to our hearts, and we'd love your support in raising as much money as possible to bring the joy of video games to so many more people. Simply click on the link in the description below of wherever you're enjoying this podcast, or scan the QR code you see now. That will take you to our Just Giving page, where you can learn more and donate. If you're not in a position to donate, that's more than okay. Times are tough and we understand. Please consider sharing our Just Giving page on social media. It will help spread the word and the work that we're doing. Thanks for listening, and for now, let's get back to the podcast. What's good, everybody? We're back, and welcome back to the episode. I don't think I ever said the episode number. I'm so crap at doing this. Episode 421 of the Words About Games podcast. Our next story that we're going to talk about is taken from the GameDeveloper.com. And this is of their patch notes series, which I highly recommend you all check out. I picked this story for its byline alone, and I'll quote: Astrobot acclaim, PlayStation 5 Pro disdain, and more jobs down the drain. I know we touched on a few of these in the podcast itself, but I think this is a nice kind of refresher and a catch up of everything that's going on. So this is just a thought piece about the state of the industry, and let's read a few excerpts of this. So they start about the PlayStation 5 Pro. I know that we spoke about it on the podcast recently. So this will be a mid-cycle upgrade that's going to retail for $700 and we spoke about how here in the UK, it's going to cost for the same features that we currently have with our PlayStation 5 Pros. It's north of £830, which is equivalent of over $1,000, given how the strength of the currency is at the moment. And the presentation that they gave to showcase this and the reasons for getting it was rather odd, especially on like a 1080p stream with YouTube compression and all that good stuff. But the main takeaway of this is we're in a world at the moment is that quote, who cares about seemingly imperceptible marginal gains when Sony hasn't delivered on the promise of the original PlayStation 5? Where is the software? Where are the raft of PlayStation 5 exclusives that go hell for leather and absolutely floor it? It's concerning that Sony is still relying on PlayStation 4 compatible releases to showcase its shiny new box, especially when that box doesn't feature a disk drive, backwards compatibility be damned. This is in relation to the PS5 Pro. This isn't innovation, it's stagnation. If new hardware is a statement, then this is Sony proclaiming that it's run out of ideas. End quote. Moody, do you have any further thoughts on the PS5 Pro now you've had a week to kind of percolate? And I'll fill for time as you're finishing the yeah, you're taking. So for me, PlayStation 5, the main thing, the main differentiator as to why I'm not getting a PS5 Pro is one, clearly the price. That's going to be true for most of us, but also the reasons why, in terms of games looking ever so slightly better, and that's all we can take at the moment. I know the fine folks at Digital Foundry did a much more in-depth deep dive into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and the improvements that it's going to do on there, but for me, it doesn't justify the price, and that is even factoring the price after trading in your current PS5. Because you've got to factor in, right, we've got to get a disk drive, which here in the UK is retailing for £100. Then you've got to get a vertical stand, and that's going to be another £30 on top of that. So, yay, and that's going to be all that. Mr. Moody.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So PS5 Pro, do you have any more further thoughts?
Well, I haven't given any thoughts about it, really.
Well, let's go.
The PS5 Pro was what it was always going to be. It was just a little upgrade to what the PS5 is. The biggest, I don't think people would have cared that much about it if it wasn't for the price tag.
Yeah.
Basically, I think people would have got over it has no disc. Xboxes now don't have disc drives. We are moving into that where I know people don't like it. I do get it, because I'm now kind of moving more back to disc orientation, just because it's simple and cheaper. Cheaper.
I like that word though. Cheaper is a nice word. It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, for it. But because of the price of just $700 or £700 for us, that is just absolutely bonkers for an upgrade that isn't significant enough to be able to isn't significant enough to warrant that price whatsoever. Like, when I watch the thing, I can listen to Mark Cerny all day. I admit that. I like the guy, he has a voice that can just smooth you and make you just go, I'm not understanding what he's saying, but somehow he's making it make sense to me. And I don't know how he's doing this. But anyway, it was always going to look like what a PlayStation 5 was going to look like. I believe it's like smaller. It's down to like the slim size, which is kind of impressive.
The width is the same width as the current Slim, but the height is the same as the existing PS5 that you and I have.
Ah, okay. Well, again, they don't really have that much of a difference. Yeah, for me, it is just the price more than anything. Yeah. And well, yes, I agree with what everyone was saying about like watching the video on YouTube, which is just like 30 frames per second anyway for us. So like we're saying, is there actual any difference at those screens? No, there isn't, because you're going on a thing that's rendering at 30 frames per second, for God's sake. So it doesn't help you whatsoever. Which is just like it didn't make any sense whatsoever, like for the presentation, even though, like I said,
the other commentary that was coming out of that was okay, all the examples that they showed were of things in the background, like the crowds in Ratchet and Clank and stuff like that. And the commentary was that when these gameplay moments are happening, I'm looking at Ratchet, I'm looking at River, I'm looking at the actual gameplay action. I'm not looking at the far detail into the crowd to be able to notice those differences. And I know,
which is true.
Yeah, and for my experience and my 2 pence kind of thing. So Gran Turismo 7, I knew that they weren't going to add anything content-wise, because I've been rallying on them to add content for years at this point, and they still haven't thought to do so. But what they chose to do is, okay, here's the game running in 8K, at 30 FPS, mind you, but 8K. Then the other one was playing 4K at 60 frames a second with full ray tracing, which they don't do at the moment. And obviously it looks mightily impressive, but at no point playing all these hours I've done in Gran Turismo, over 500 of this at this point, have I ever thought that game looked rubbish? This really needs ray tracing to shine. And it's one of these where we are talking about incremental gains, and it's been the same thing since PS4 as well, when we got to the PS4 Pro. And yes, it was more comfortable running games, and playing like The Last of Us Part 2 on an original PlayStation 4 versus the Pro, it will make your original system sound like a jet engine with the fans going up full bore trying to make it. And I think for me, I know we was talking about whether the industry needed a PlayStation 5. I think it's a yes and no for me in terms of the biggest benefit of the PlayStation 5 for me is that SSD and the speed of which things load. But I don't necessarily agree that the PlayStation 4 Pro couldn't have done that, and you couldn't have fitted that with an SSD and got all the benefits of super fast load times and all the rest of it. The DualSense is an amazing bit of kit, but as we spoke about earlier, the Astrobot titles are the only ones which have really taken advantage of it. Outside of, whenever I'm Aloy and I'm going to draw back the bow, you're going to feel some tension in the trigger, and that's around about it. Or, some dabble of haptics here and there in certain other titles like Returnal. But for the on the large majority, I don't think we particularly needed a PlayStation 5. Obviously, I'm privileged in order to have one, and I like that the fact that the games at the moment, they look absolutely stunning, and I'm sure you'll agree. Astrobot is a gorgeous looking game. Obviously, it's stylized and it's going for a particular art style, but it's one of these where, with the amount of cross-gen titles and many titles appearing on PlayStation 4 and 5, nobody needs a PlayStation 5 in the same way nobody needs a PlayStation 5 Pro. But at the current price point, decisions are being made for us in terms of it's just priced out because it's so elitist, but that's the way tech is anyway, but it doesn't make it any less disappointing.
What also has made them more boldish for the price is because literally Microsoft have given up.
Yep, they have shut the bed on this one.
They basically waved the white flag by saying, we're going to put our games on your console. We're just not going to talk about it yet and everything. But yeah, that's going to happen. And that's basically them now coming out and saying, we can do whatever the hell we want.
Who's going to stop us? Yeah.
Yeah, no one's going to stop us. Nintendo, they're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And they're fine with that. The PlayStation don't give a fuck about Nintendo whatsoever, even though they've got a game coming on the Nintendo Switch soon.
Yeah.
For that, but it's is just the thing is about it. Like, I get where people come from, like what you're saying about did we need a PS5 and everything like that. For a developer side, yes, we needed a PS5. We needed an Xbox Series X and whatnot. And I'm saying X there. I'm not saying the fucking S, because that is a garbage truck to develop on. We needed it basically just for the power itself more than anything. And this is the thing that's holding the Nintendo Switch back right now is power. Like, thankfully, going off on what the rumors are, like the next Switch is basically a PS4. That's fantastic. That's all we need. Yep. That is great. Thumbs up for that. That is aces for that, because basically, like you're saying, we can basically still play the PlayStation games on the PlayStation 4, even though the PlayStation 4 is literally wanting to fly to the moon.
Yes,
it might actually go past it if you actually let it off its leash.
Yeah,
and whatnot. And that's basically now. That's where we're at now. We're in the era of that consoles are basically phones.
Yes.
Basically, and like the next upgrade is basically going to be a small upgrade, but it's going to be an upgrade that eventually all of us will want to look into adopting, maybe if we have the money to be able to do it. Just because PlayStation 5 is eventually going to hit a wall where it might need to be upgraded.
Yes,
basically, there's no doubt about it. This PlayStation 5 Pro right now is nothing but for the the elitist gamers out there who are wanting that little bit of edge. Like he literally said, like Max said, he said in the, now we're going to performance that makes it more quick time of reactions for the player. I don't give a fuck about any of that. None of us, the majority of gamers don't give a fuck about that. I don't care what anyone says. The majority of gamers do not care about that. But sadly, they're aiming for the elitist gamers out there for that price tag. And like going off of like what articles I've read and everything like that, the consensus is that it's probably going to sell just as well as the PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
Which is bonkers to think of that as well. But it's just how it is because, like, Microsoft have waved the white flag so much that it's like, we've got no one to, well, let's just go to PlayStation.
Yeah.
That's all it is. The worst thing that's hurting, like what we've already talked about PlayStation, is basically what is the Jim Ryan effect. Like they're in it right now, reshaping themselves back to what the PS4 era was, and that's going to take a couple of years. It sucks because of how the long ass development time it is, of 4 to 6 to 7 to 8 year development time, depending on the size of the bloody game you're making. Unless you're like Insomniac and Santa Monica, because they just use the same assets for like God of War Ragnarok, and now the new ones in like for Spider-Man Miles Morales and whatnot. But yeah, but that's the way to do it.
Yes,
that's the way to do it. Like this is what they used to do, and now it's just like, no, we have to create a whole new game.
Yeah, with the new engine,
new engine, new everything, and whatnot. And I'm just like, no, you don't at all. Like seriously, you really, really don't. But it's just, that's basically what it is. Like, and kind of like, and Microsoft are all over the place. Like, we don't know what Microsoft really, like, we know what they're doing. They're moving to the software, even though they're going to still prefer a console that nobody buys.
Yeah, I think they're placing their eggs in the handheld that Felk is talking about, which they're clearly making. And Cerebon still keeps making noises about the most powerful system in the world, which is going to come at some point. And whether they're going to try and jumpstart the next generation by launching a system in, say, 2026, 2027, and try and get the one up on PlayStation the same way they did with Xbox 360, which launched a whole year ahead of PlayStation 3. I think that's probably what they're going for. But to your point, the horse has kind of already left the stable, because the titles are available everywhere, and you can't take these things back. That's the key thing. Once the titles come to PlayStation, you can't really bring them back. Say, oh, well, the next Halo, no, that's only on Xbox, unless you do exclusivity to Windows and all the rest of it. But it'll be interesting to see how all this shakes out. And yeah, for me, I'm not saying waiting for a PlayStation 6, but that will be the next kind of piece of hardware that I buy outside of what the Switch 2 is, because I think, to your point, Nintendo dance to their own tune, and we'll see what happens there. And I think because that needs to be, or the PlayStation 6 needs to be a mass market model rather than the PlayStation 5 program for the elitist crowd, I think it will launch at a more reasonable price. Now, what reasonable is by the time we get to 2027, 2028, or whenever this thing launches, that's up for debate in terms of whether it will be $600 rather than $500, $550, that kind of thing. And
for me, it'll probably be $499, and then when the next version of it comes out, that'll be the $699 again.
Do you think PlayStation 6 ships with a disc drive?
No.
I agree with you. I think they're going to do the same thing again. Of you'll be able to add it as a separate thing, but they'll whatever they can take out to bring the quote unquote price down, they will do, because they know that people like us, we need the physical games, because it is much cheaper that way. And if you do go all digital, then you're beholden to Sony to kind of price whatever the games are in the market. And what do you do? Wait for a PSN sale to come around? At least on PC, it's more of an open market. So if you're not happy with the price of a game on Steam, you can go to an Epic, or you can go to Good Old Games or elsewhere to find your games less expensive elsewhere. But then with PlayStation, you're locked in their ecosystem. They can do whatever the heck you want in the same way they're doing with the console price. So yeah, it's interesting. And to the point that this thought piece brings to the table is they don't seem to be really doing anything that, in theory, obviously they can do to make it look better and shinier with all new bells and whistles, but they're not really maxing the potential of the PlayStation 5 at the moment. And for sure, there are games that look phenomenal on the PlayStation 5, and I'm not taking anything away from that, but it doesn't seem to be bringing anything brand new in terms of, I've never played an experience like this before. I've played these experiences, but now they load faster and they look prettier. But I think those days are kind of over, which is sad in a way. But the innovation is where, for me at least, that's where the indie scene is. That's where the innovation is coming from in terms of new gameplay mechanics and things like that. So yeah, at the moment, we tend to see repetition because new ideas are risky and people don't want to be making risky bets right now because they did that on live services and look how that turned out.
I don't think there's even that much innovation even in the AA indie space. There are some, but there's no doubt AAA innovation is dead. It's dead. It's like, it is the simple same old thing over and over and over again. It's the Ubisoft same title thing, the same title thing that's at EA, Activision, Microsoft, and PlayStation and everything. I think it's more when it comes to quote unquote innovation, I think it's going to transition to the part of like kind of what I'm kind of hoping that PlayStation are going to be doing right now, because they've already kind of shown that they might be looking into that. It's like what they're doing with Horizon, the Horizon Lego game that's coming out. That is something, that's what I think is going to be the innovation part to it. It's like, oh, this is not what we've seen before of Horizon, even though it is something that we know of a Lego game, basically. That's something new. We've never played it like that before. That's fantastic. And that's what Nintendo have had a shine on, had the whole air. They've had that market to themselves for a decade, if not more, where like Mario is one of the biggest IPs out there, and he's only still irrelevant because they make him do different things of different games. He's not the same tired old game all the time. It's always something dim and unique and different and new, quote unquote, newish to the franchise, because it's something we've never seen him do before, even though we've seen it from other games. And that's basically what I'm hoping that PlayStation's going to do. And that will be fantastic to see. Like that's the innovation what I think is going to happen. It's like one thing can just change up a game enough to make it go, wow, that's changed it enough for me to where I'm going from a quote unquote, I hate ratings, but I'm going to just use it as an example, from a 7 out of 10 to maybe an 8 to 9 out of 10. And it's that one little thing that can change it.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like for me, like the one thing for me, like, was one of the F1 games years ago. It added in like the quote unquote RPG mechanic to it, where how you upgrade your car and everything. And I was just like, that is fucking awesome. And it really did, for me, change it up enough where I'm just like, this is no longer a 7.58 out of 10 game. This is looking like maybe a 9, even higher, which is just fantastic, because it changed it up where I do truly feel the differences when I did an upgrade on a car and everything. Even though I was playing it on a controller. I'm sorry, drive car enthusiast. I played with a controller. I play with a controller for it.
Hey, that's all good.
I felt it, and that's what was so good about it for it. And sadly, they haven't innovated for a while now. The F1 game, sadly. But that's what I think what needs to happen now for it. And I'm going to say this even for you, Microsoft, you guys have got to do this as well. You've got a tired old franchise out there in Halo. No offense, Gears of War is tired as well. You do the same stick every single freaking time. I'm sure all the Gears of War fans are looking forward to that next Gears that's coming out, but it's a fucking prequel of a story that you've heard about, of a characters that you know survive.
That's the thing.
How interesting is that going to really be? And don't come to me, well, the gameplay will be the same. Yes, it'll be the same. There'll be nothing new that truly innovates it, but taking it out of its play area and putting it into a new play area, that's where the innovation I think is going to be for hopefully the industry. for a long version.
I'm with you in that, and don't worry, dear listener, if you are looking for that original Horizon experience, then Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered was rated by the ESRB in multiple regions, so that'll be announced shortly, I'm sure. So you'll have your traditional Horizon experience, and then yeah,
that's next week at the Tokyo Game Show. I think that's when.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. But yeah. Lego Horizon is a great chat, and we need stuff like that. And Helman Hurst, one of the new CEOs at Sony PlayStation, were saying that we need more family-oriented games in the same way that Astrobot isn't, rated M for mature or anything like that. And it's one of these where a Lego Horizon does fit in that mold. And from the ESRB rating of that particular game, there's only one usage of the word ass, and everything else is, certificate PG and all the rest of it.
Yeah, no doubt.
I really hope it's a robot turning around doing a bender saying, "Bite my shiny metal ass," but we will see if that's a thing.
Oh yeah, I don't know if that might be copyrighted by Disney, that because they own the bugger. But it's that's how it is basically for me. Like, that's the innovation part. Technology has hit a point when it comes to visuals, you're not going to improve them. I don't give a fuck what Sarah Bond says. The most powerful console ever. It's not going to do anything for your visuals anymore. Yeah. We are hitting that wall. Mm-hmm. It's done and dusted. There's not much of a difference when you see visuals these days and whatnot. Yes, it may be different on screens and everything. Screens are completely different to the visuals part.
Yes.
And that's basically what it's all about now. I think it's going to be the future. Like the PlayStation 6, I don't think it's going to be that big of innovation.
It won't, no.
In a technological leap compared to the PS5 Pro. So, yeah, it's like now it's just like, I do agree with what you're saying. Like they probably didn't need the PS5 Pro or the PS5. But they develop-wise, they really did need.
No, absolutely, and that's why I value your opinion, your perspective on these things, and saying that, from a gameplay point of view, maybe not, but then from a development point of view, then we're hearing this, and that's good to know. So,
sorry for putting we've just seen that Jedi Survive. It's funny that's come up twice now, and I didn't like the game. It's just come out on PS4 and Xbox One.
Yes.
That's 2 years? Was it last year when it came out? Or was it the year before? That's almost 2 years. Yeah, it was last year. It's basically a year and a half, pretty much, when it last came out. They've been working on that to get it optimized and in a playable state for a year and a half.
Yeah.
That tells you, for me, shows you the leap of what is between the PS4 and the PS5 and the Xbox One and the Xbox X at least. Yes, they really need to fucking get rid of that shithole. It's a garbage truck. But like, we have a game out that we cannot put on PS4 or Xbox One. It'll break it. Like, the game won't run on it. It'll take it. We've talked about it. Like, we were talking about it ages ago to get them on the Xbox One and PS4. But like, we were like, my manager was all saying to them, it's like, you're looking at a minimum of a year.
Yeah.
A year. But you need us to be working on it pretty much round the clock now from this year. So every other game that we're working on, that's pushed out of the side, pushed away. They were never going to agree to that, so they obviously canned it for it. And then obviously things of us getting redundant, just like, yeah, it's never definitely not happening now and whatnot. So, but yeah, it's a shame.
It is, but hopefully we will see the innovation in the spaces that you spoke about earlier with Lego, which is a great shout. And even though I really enjoyed the Horizon games, Lego Horizon is one that I'm eager to jump into just to see what Aloy is like in a fun environment. And Ashley Birch is out there, and she seems to be having fun with the new take on Aloy and all the rest of it. But yeah, I'm most excited for you to get back to playing Astrobot and seeing everything else that game has to offer, and all the things which I hope haven't been spoiled for you. So
I haven't seen anything. I also haven't seen anything.
No, absolutely, and keep it that way. But hell yeah. Shall we talk a little OpenCritic Head-To-Head?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So if you didn't know, this is the game that we play here on the Words Back Games podcast, where we try and guess the OpenCritic ratings of very different video games which are coming out. Last week, we tried to guess the OpenCritic ratings of a number of titles. Funko Fusion, The Plucky Squire, Entoria, The Last Song, UFO 50, Frostpunk 2, and then a holdover from last week, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, in the hopes that it got an early release thanks to review embargoes and whatnot. But let's go.
Correct. Funko Fusion is a holdover as well.
Oh, it is.
That was 2 weeks ago, that one. It finally got a score.
There we go. Thank you for that. So, speaking of Funko Fusion, I guessed it would get a 50. Amy guessed it would get a 69. Nice. And Moody, you guessed it would get a 70. At the time of recording, Funko Fusion has a score of 52, which I believe I get the points for that one. Only 1 point, though. You get 2 points if you get it bang on the money, but you get 1 point if you get closest. 52 seems about right. And I know when we first spoke about this, if it was based off the Switch trailer alone, I would have gone with 35. The Plucky Squire. Moody, you guessed it would get 93. I guessed it would get 92. Amy guessed it would get an 88. The time of recording, the Plucky Squire has a score of 84. I'm actually quite gutted for the team there, because from everything that was the juice that this game, and catchphrase, take shot everybody, the juice this game had going into it, I thought, like yourself, he was going in the low 90s kind of thing. The thing that people seem to have an issue with is that it doesn't really pose as much of a challenge, and that all the gameplay mechanics they add to it, they don't really commit to it. So it's kind of, you get a taste of something that's really fun as a game mechanic, but then they don't really develop it or bring it back in any meaningful ways. But I still plan to jump onto this game and enjoy my time with it, and I hope that you do, listener, you do too. The next title was Entoria, The Last Song. So this is the Italian Renaissance themed Souls-like title. Moody, you guessed to get an 81. I guessed to get an 85, and Amy guessed to get 77. At the time of recording, the Entoria, The Last Song, has a score of 71, which I believe it's Amy again gets the point. So for Plucky Squire and for Entoria, The Last Song, so she's cooking on this episode. She might be cooking some more, everybody, because UFO 50 was the next game. Moody gets a 75, I guessed to get a 78, and Amy guessed to get 85. At the time of recording, it scored a massive 90.
This is a shock and a fucking half.
So for those who don't know, this is a title where essentially you find a fictional retro console, and on it is 50 8-bit titles, and they're full games within it. So it's like finding an NES, but it's 50 titles, and it spans from, I believe, like the early 80s all the way through to 86, and the games on it, they progress technologically as well with whatever year it's set in. So a title on there from 1986 will play a lot more modern than a title from 1981, and there's even sequels to the fictional games that are on there. So you might play a title which in their universe released in 1983, but then the sequel might have come out in 1986 kind of thing, and it will play a lot different and a lot more improved kind of thing. So that is definitely one to check out, and they've had a lot of guest developers come in and make the individual, they're not mini games because they're full games, but to make some of the games. So I know one of the Splunky devs came in to make one of the games, and so on and so forth.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Frostpunk 2 was one of the games. Moody, you would guess to get an 84. I guess we'd get an 82, and Amy guessed we'd get an 89. At the time of recording, it's got a score of 85. So Moody, you get some points.
Yes, I get 1 point.
Hell yes. And then The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is still waiting a review, so we wait with bated breath.
That's not a surprise. It doesn't come out until next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did understand what Amy's thoughts process were, that it might come out earlier.
So let's look how the scores are on the doors. At the moment, Amy has 26, Moody has 37, I have 19. Withdrawals have a score of 5. This week, we're trying to guess the OpenCritic result of Ara History Untold. and it's me to go first. So I think we heard about this game at the developer underscore direct that, or digital underscore direct maybe, that Xbox had at the start of the year.
Yes.
I think this game is gonna get a, let's go with a 75, I'm gonna say. It's all right. We were putting in there. Amy has made a guess of 77. And the lowly eyes fall to you, Moody.
I want to keep the points going for myself. I think this is going to be in the 80s, but I'm going to stay safe and go 78.
78. So just to recap, I've gone 75, Amy's gone 77, and Moody has gone 78. So that's for Ara History Untold. Hopefully we'll get a review of that soon, and we're able to put the points on the board. And
do we want to go through fantasy cricket?
We can do if you want, buddy. So let's fire that up. Because we have had some movers and shakers indeed on here.
I have it up now, so
go for
it. So in last place is, where are we? It's Fairwald right now. He is on 28 points. He's not having a good time right now whatsoever. He needs to start putting more games on out there. We're on the final few months here, Fairwald. You need to get your finger out your butt side.
They are expecting 3 games to release.
Yeah, and he's still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spaces to fill it up with. But anyway, next up is Elf Daughter, going to play games this year. She's on 48. She's done, her early picks have basically screwed her over. Obviously, she did Skull and Bones, which got her -10 points.
Yeah.
The Inquisitor -14 points, even though that basically counted everything that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth gave her, because it was basically
eroded. She does have Flight Sim 2024 on there, which I think will score well for her.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's no doubt that will probably score pretty well, that one, no doubt. Prison Architect 2, not really sure with obviously what's happened with the developer. Double 11 have separated from the team, but don't know the reasons and everything, but I can only surmise from certain things. She's got Rift of the Necro Dancer Silicon and other games as well, but she's got some like...
I don't know why Nightingale hasn't resulted in a massive number of negative points, because it scored 59.
Which one?
Nightingale.
59. It's not updated yet.
Okay, right.
It's probably not released yet, I'm guessing.
Right. So more pain to come.
It's currently in early access.
Right.
It hasn't released yet. So if that releases this year, holy shit. Because it's like the same with like Fairwald has Hades 2.
Yes.
But it's in early access. He could have got 20 points there, but he can't get it because maybe next time show up to pick your games, Fairwald and Elf Daughter. I'm just going to say that there, because obviously we had to do the auto pick for them.
Yep.
Next up is, I just want to confirm this is 3 Crazy Cats.
Yeah.
81 points. He's done pretty well. Like he kicked off really strong with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. He's had Black Myth Wukong, which has financially been incredible, but I think critic points wise, it's kind of like a little bit down for him. I think with how everyone talks about it, like the audience, you would think this is like a 90, 92, 90 game and everything, but it's not. It's like just because it's through the critics, it's like an 81. So he's got a low score on that. Star Wars didn't do great for him. Test Drive Unlimited -12.
Hey, I got +12
Celebrate. Oh, you got that, did you?
Yeah.
He's got 2 games obviously coming out. He's got Metal Gear. I don't think that's going to be coming out this year now, because we haven't heard anything from it. Silent Hill remake, 2 remake is obviously coming. That could be very interesting. Assassin's Creed Shadows. He's got Mario, Luigi Brothership, and whatnot. The Mario games, the Nintendo games could go either way this year, because like I had 2 of them, and like one was great, and the other one just like the Nintendo fans just didn't turn out for it.
Yeah, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, that remake, that one just came and went. And nobody gave a crap.
Yeah, no one gave a crap, and I'm just like, well, fuck you guys. Then afterwards, then third place is you, Phil. Roll dice and play nice.
Roll dice and play nice. Yeah, so
5 points.
Finally broke into triple digits, which I'm more than happy with. Astrobot nailed me 29 points, which I'm really happy to snipe. Obviously, I got done over with some poor picks on my part. I thought Penny's Big Breakaway would do a whole lot better for me, especially for No Rest for the Wicked, #Blood, and Cryptmaster. As I say, Test Drive got me 12 points by counterpicking it. Having said that, all this good work I've done will be undone when Dragon Age of Veilguard comes out, because for some reason I counterpicked it because I listened to Amy. I do have Metaphor ReFantasio to come out. I believe people are reviewing that game as we speak, so that should be fun. The Rise of the Golden Idol, I'm not sure if it's got a release date just yet. It's got 2024 estimated, so we'll see if that actually lands. Mina the Hollower, who the heck knows if that's ever coming out this year. It probably is not at this point. Never is October 15th, so I'm looking forward to that dropping. And then Skate Story, I think that still said 2024, but I don't believe that at the moment. Yeah, so that's where I am. I don't think...
One of the shames ones was Visions of Manners. I thought that would have got you higher, and it's a shame I only got a 77.
But... yeah, I don't think the defense of my my crown has gone too great, but I'm happy I've made triple digits. I've made at least a strong show for myself.
Second is me. Even though it says 140, I can add up my Frostpunk 2 ones, and that's basically I will be on 155 by the time of this release. That's really, I'm really happy with that. Like I knew, like I've got some I think big hitters coming still. That I think like Amy, like I've teased Amy earlier this week saying I'm coming for you, not realizing this UFO would get a freaking 90. But either way, I'm still not disheartened by that, because I'm still confident. I know everyone's like saying, "Oh, the previews for Silent Hill 2." I am not confident in that game whatsoever. In a way of like, I think I'm going to get points for that fucker, so I feel okay. Or that if it's going to hurt me, it's not going to be as high as what people think it's going to hurt me. So I'm okay. That's how I feel. I hope I'm correct on that. But I've still got big hitters. There's still that chance of Hollow Knight. If that comes out, that saves me. Instant win just on that alone. I've got Ara, The History Untold, which I think will do decent. And then I've got Dragon Ball Z Spark Zero, which is just looking more and more crazy and outrageous. And I think if that gets in the 80s, I'm decent there. I've got the Lego Horizon, which I think is just going to reinvent the franchise and make me get good points there. The one that could be an interesting one is the Life is Strange. Like, I think it'll do well, but at the same time, it's going to be interesting of just like with how the stupid release schedule is for that. Like, go get it, buy the digital, get the Ultimate Edition version to get 2 episodes earlier, 2 weeks earlier the release. It's just like, why? Why? And then I've got Wonder Stop.
What is Wonder Stop?
I have no idea. I just saw it and I was like, "Hey, this looks good. Why not?" I've seen it. I have seen the trailer. The trailer's really canny.
There you go.
I think it's something that both me and Amy saw, and we were just like, "Oh, this looks good." This is like, I think it was like, I don't know if it was like during Keely's Shitfest, where I think it like made us go, "Oh, again, here we go," type of thing. It's got an estimate, so there's no release date, but it could. I think it might hit the date. And I've got one more space. I have placed a thing down, so we'll see what happens for that.
Nice.
But I've had some big winners. Like I've had some big hitters, like Frostpunk 85.
Yeah.
I've had Paper Mario an 89, Unicorn Overlord 88. I know that's still salty for Amy. And then the big one for me that I knew was going to come back and get me some good Stratisfactory.
Yes.
The 92, 23 points. That was just exceptional for me.
Insane.
When I saw it was going to go release to 1.0 from early access and that it on Steam was overwhelmingly positive, I was like, boom,
Yes.
get you right now. And I was just like, come on, I know I've got something here. And I did. World of Goo 2 was good for me, and so was Stream World Heist 2. So yeah, I'm pretty set up. I can't do anything about Hollow Knight. I'm going to keep it till the end of days now. For all I know.
Don't drop that. Because if you do, I'll snipe it. Speaking of who you're chasing, 169 points is Amy. Silk Song is just a shadow on the wall of a cave. The recent crimes that have been committed to her, I'm Your Beast scoring only 79, which by all accounts isn't a phenomenal game. So for that only to get 9 points on the board, that's going to be rough for them. Obviously, UFO 50 scoring a massive 20 points with a score of 90. They do have Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which I think is going to do well. And then they also are waiting for Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake. And of course, Dragon Age Veilguard as well. So they do still have some bangers to come.
Yeah, by the end of this weekend, I'm going to be fully locked in, just like Amy's going to be fully locked in with the games we have. I'm going to have no games left. The spaces left after this. So I'm looking for, it's now all in on it now. And I think Amy is probably right on the part of like, it's going to come down to probably Silent Hill 2 between, which is really funny. One of her favorite horror franchises, or favorite horror game, could make or break her winning this year, and that's just kind of just really funny. And it's funny that also that a game, my most anticipated game, Dragon Age Veilguard, could help her, but it could also hurt her. But if it hurts her, that's going to hurt me on the part of like, that means the game's not so good, and that's going to make me cry.
Absolutely, there's double-edged swords all around when it comes to this game.
Yeah. I'm not worried about. For some reason, I'm not worried about Dragon Quest 3 HD
2D remake.
I just have this feeling that's not going to do as good as what she thinks that could do. Because I was humming and hawing getting it, but I held off because I was just like, I looked at the old reviews of like the first version of it, and it was just like, it's like in the 70s. I'm just like, I don't want 70s. I need the 80s at least.
Yeah, you need stuff to catch them up with.
I hope I'm wrong on the part of like, because I want video games to do incredibly well, and I want developers' work to shine through incredibly well. But I also want it to suck. It's really a double-edged sword, especially as I'm a developer myself. And I'm just like, no, it's a great game. Yeah, fantastic. No, I don't want any points for you, you bastard. But
yeah. And that, guys, and non-binary pals, is where things stand in Fantasy Critic. And that's with our check-in. All that's left to say is that, Moody, it's time for you to shine.
Yeah, because you two suck at this, by the way.
To be fair, last time out, we decided we can't impersonate the original, and we should stop trying. So we wish everybody to have themselves a great weekend, to be good to everybody, and we called it a day. But as we have the original here, take it away, my friend.
I will. Hey, what's up, everybody? Today, be proud of yourself. Why, you may ask? Because we are all proud of you. You know what you did today. You made it. Another day is behind you. Another week has passed. You want to know what else you are? You are special, and you deserve the absolute best. You are truly good enough because you're doing great. We all believe in you. One step at a time, one day at a time, one dream at a time. Now stand up and jump up as high as you can and high five that sky, because you made it. You are enough, and live long and prosper.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.